I never thought I'd be the guy sitting in his own house wondering how the hell his marriage turned into this. But here we are. My wife Lauren, 37, decided a week ago that our marriage should be open. Not a discussion, not a gentle suggestion, an ultimatum. Open marriage or divorce. She stood in our kitchen, leaning against the counter with her coffee in one hand and her phone in the other, looking way too calm for someone blowing up our family. Matt, we both deserve to be happy, and if we're honest, we've both been curious about other experiences. I wasn't curious, at all. The only thing I'm curious about is why someone who vowed to be my partner for life suddenly wants to treat our marriage like a dating app. But I've got 2 kids, Evan, 12, and Chloe, 9, and I refuse to be the reason they get shuffled between houses like luggage. So I told her fine. She could have her open marriage, but it was going to be my kind of open. See, if she wants the freedom to date other men, then I want the freedom not to give a single damn about making her life easier. I don't want to share food I bought. I don't want to cook for her, because why should I give her the energy to go make another guy happy? I don't want to make her coffee in the morning so she can start her day feeling good for someone else. I don't want to share a bathroom, a bed, or even a damn toothpaste tube. And most importantly, I don't want to give her one drop of emotional comfort. No hugs when she's stressed, no "how was your day?" No listening to her vent about work. I told her if she needs emotional support, she can text it to me, and I'll decide if it's worth answering. So the night after her little announcement, I packed up her stuff and moved it into the guest room. She thought I was joking, kept laughing until she realized I'd already carried her makeup bag and her favorite pillow down the hall. That's when the smile faded. Matt, what are you doing? Giving you what you wanted. You wanted an open marriage? This is my version. You live your life, I live mine. We just happen to be under the same roof. She stared at me like I'd lost my mind. But no, this is clarity. And honestly, it felt good. The first morning after I moved her things, I brewed myself a coffee with the Keurig, poured it into my travel mug, and walked right past her without a word. Seriously? You're not even going to make me one, she said, half laughing, half annoyed. Nope, I replied, grabbing my keys. Didn't realize you needed me for that. Pretty sure your hands still work. She muttered something under her breath, but I didn't care. That was the point. No more little kindnesses that could trick her into thinking we were still the same couple. By day 3, I'd moved my toiletries into the upstairs half bath, split the grocery list in 2, and told the kids they'd see some changes around the house. Evan asked, "Like what?" "Like Mom and I will each take care of our own stuff," I said, keeping my voice light. I didn't tell him that meant his mom was on her own for dinners, unless it was her night. Lauren, of course, started pushing back. She cornered me in the hallway after work. "Matt, this is ridiculous. We can make this work without acting like we're divorced." "That's funny," I said, "because it feels exactly like we're divorced, just cheaper rent." She rolled her eyes. "You're being petty." "Petty is making someone a nice dinner so they can have the stamina to go out and sleep with someone else. I'm just cutting out the middleman." Later that night, I called my friend Tyler. He's been through a divorce, and I figured he'd get it. But instead he sighed and said, "Man, you know kids aren't stupid, right? They're soaking this tension up like a sponge. This arrangement? It's not better than a divorce, it's worse." I snapped back, "So what? I'm just supposed to tear their lives apart? You think I haven't thought about that?" "I'm saying," he replied, "you're already tearing it apart. Just slower and angrier." That hit harder than I wanted to admit. The next morning, I caught Chloe watching us from the breakfast table as Lauren and I avoided eye contact in the kitchen. She didn't say a word, but the way she poked at her cereal made me feel like I'd just been caught in the middle of some silent, ugly crime. It all blew up on Friday night. Lauren came home later than usual. Hair a little too perfect, perfume lingering like a cloud. She walked into the living room where I was watching a game with Evan. "Can we talk?" she asked. I muted the TV. "Text me," I said flatly. Evan's eyes darted between us. "Are you guys fighting?" "No," I lied. "Just having separate conversations." Lauren crossed her arms. "Matt, this has to stop. You can't just freeze me out. You're creating this hostile environment and the kids can feel it." That made me laugh, loud enough for Evan to flinch. I'm creating it? You're the one who decided you wanted other men in our marriage. I'm just making sure I'm not the one fueling your fun. Her voice rose. You're hurting the kids more than anyone. Do you really think they don't notice you ignoring me? Not sitting at the same table? Not even saying goodnight? From the kitchen doorway, Chloe was standing there now, clutching her tablet. Are you guys gonna get divorced? Lauren turned to her instantly. No, sweetie, Daddy and I are just figuring things out. But Chloe didn't look convinced. She just mumbled, okay, and went upstairs, shoulders slumped. When the kids were gone, Lauren hissed, see? This is exactly what I mean. They're scared, Matt. Yeah, I said. And what do you think they'll feel when they see some random guy walking out of our house at 8 a.m. while I'm making them pancakes? She blinked, caught off guard. That's not, I cut her off. That's what this is. You want to be single without losing the safety net of a husband. And the kids? You think they won't notice? They're not dumb. They're already soaking in all this resentment like it's normal. Congratulations. You're giving them a masterclass in what a miserable relationship looks like. She glared at me. And you think this punishment is going to fix anything? No, I said. It's not about fixing. It's about making sure I'm not the idiot supporting you while you act single. You made your choice. Now live with it. Lauren shook her head and stormed off to the guest room, slamming the door so hard a picture frame rattled on the wall. And from upstairs, I swear I heard Evan whisper to Chloe, told you, they're gonna split. It happened the very next weekend. Saturday night, Lauren texted me, yes, texted, from the other side of the house. I'll be home late, don't wait up. I didn't reply. Instead, I sat in my room with the TV on low, pretending to watch but really just staring at the clock. At 1:12 a.m., I heard the front door open, followed by 2 sets of footsteps. Male laughter. Every muscle in my body tensed. The voices moved down the hall toward the guest room. Then, muffled giggles. A door clicking shut. I muted the TV and just sat there, heart pounding, jaw clenched so tight it ached. It wasn't jealousy. It was this raw, ugly humiliation. I could feel the walls of the house pressing in on me. In my head, I heard Tyler's voice from earlier in the week. She's gonna bring guys into your house, man. You're gonna hear it, see it. You sure you can handle that? Turns out, no. The next morning, I called my sister, Jenna. She didn't hold back. Matt, this is insane. You're basically divorced, but with front row seats to your own humiliation. And those kids? They're walking around in a pressure cooker. You think they won't remember this? I rubbed my eyes. I'm not tearing their lives apart. If we split, they'd be bouncing between 2 houses every other day. This way, nothing changes for them. Nothing changes? She shot back. Matt, everything has changed. They live in a house where mom sneaks around with other men and dad pretends she's invisible. That's the lesson they're getting about relationships. You think that's better? I didn't answer. Around noon, Evan came into my room. Dad, there was a man here last night. I froze. How do you know? I saw his shoes by the door, and he left in the morning before breakfast. He hesitated. Do you hate mom now? That one hit like a sucker punch. No, buddy, I don't hate her. I just don't agree with her choices. He nodded slowly, but I could see he didn't believe me. Kids know when you're lying, even if you think you're protecting them. When he left, I just sat there, wondering if maybe everyone was right. Maybe this whole setup was poisoning them. But the thought of divorce still felt like throwing a grenade into their lives. By midweek, the air in the house felt heavy. Evan started staying late after baseball practice, claiming he needed extra batting work. Chloe asked more often if she could sleep over at her friend Mia's. One night, I overheard her in the kitchen telling Mia's mom on the phone, "Yeah, I think my parents are mad at each other. They don't eat together anymore." It stung. A few days later, while I was grabbing laundry from her room, I saw Chloe's phone light up with a text from Mia. "You okay?" Chloe had replied, "Mom and Dad hate each other. I wish they'd just stop." I just stood there staring at that little glowing screen, feeling like I'd been kicked in the gut. That evening, Tyler came over with a 6-pack. "Man, I've been thinking about what you said," You know, I grew up in a house just like this, right? My folks stayed together for the kids. Guess what? It wrecked me. I didn't believe in healthy relationships until I was almost 30. I thought constant tension was normal. You're not sparing them, Matt. You're training them to think love feels like walking on eggshells. I'm not, I started, but he cut me off. You are. Trust me, I lived it. When my parents finally split, it was like taking a deep breath for the first time in years. Yeah, it sucked bouncing between houses, but it was better than feeling like I was living in a war zone every day. His words kept replaying in my head that night. The next morning, I found Evan in the garage, shooting hoops into the beat-up net we'd had since he was 6. "Why don't you play inside with your sister?" I asked. He shrugged without looking at me. "It's too quiet in there. Feels weird." And just like that, I realized my kids weren't clinging to this family like I thought. They were avoiding it. Later, I caught myself scrolling through divorce forums at midnight, reading post after post from people who swore their kids thrived once the tension was gone. But every time I pictured sitting them down and saying, "We're splitting up," I froze. It was Sunday morning when Lauren knocked on my door. Not barged in, not shouted from the kitchen, actually knocked. "Matt, can we please talk?" I didn't answer at first. I just sat there at my desk, staring at my computer screen like it might give me an excuse. Eventually, I opened the door. She looked tired. "I don't want to live like this. I know you're angry. I get it. But freezing me out, splitting the house in two, it's killing us. It's killing the kids." I stayed quiet, letting her fill the silence. "I'm not saying I regret opening the marriage," she went on, "but I didn't think it would turn into whatever this is." I finally said, "This is me protecting myself. You made your choice, and now I'm making mine. I'm not going to invest in someone who's investing in other people." Her voice cracked. "So what now? We just keep living like roommates who hate each other?" "Maybe," I said, "until the kids are grown." She shook her head, tears in her eyes. "That's not living, Matt." When she walked away, I wandered into the kitchen. There they were, 2 separate coffee makers on opposite ends of the counter, like tiny monuments to our split. The kids' breakfast bowls were still on the table, half full, abandoned. I thought about Chloe's text to her friend, about Evan avoiding the house. I thought about Tyler's voice in my head, saying I was training them to believe tension was normal. And for the first time, I wondered if I was actually doing this for them, or just hiding behind them to avoid making the hardest choice of my life. That night, I sat alone in the living room, lights low, TV off. The house was so quiet I could hear the hum of the fridge. And I'm still here, asking myself, am I the asshole for refusing to share anything? For keeping this wall up? For making her live with the consequences she forced on me? Or am I just too scared to admit I'm the one destroying this family now?